Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Astrology with Ethan podcast, where we discuss everything astrology, divination, and forecasting for the month ahead. So, today's podcast is all about June 2026, what I am calling the sweet spot of the year, because there are some astrological aspects happening this month that you may have heard about are going to be the sweetest, by some opinions, the luckiest moments of the year, which lend themselves to creating and building community and letting beauty flow from you in all ways. So if you're an artist, if you're creative, and just generally, if you are a water sign or a fire sign, or you have those elements featured a lot in your chart, those elements are specifically going to be receiving a lot of love this month. So let's get into it without further ado. Monday, June 1st, the mercantile planet, the planet of communication and trade and mental energy, Mercury, enters Cancer, which is a water sign, which is sensitive, which is about our feelings, which is about the home environment. So, what I find really interesting about this Mercury ingress is that it was in Gemini the past month. And Mercury in Gemini is where Mercury can do its thing, where it can sell, where it can talk, where it can gather people, where it can, go into the public square and sell something or make something. Well, when it goes to Cancer, think about if you've ever worked at a market. Like I work at markets sometimes as a reader. And after a market, I am literally pooped. All I can think about is how hungry I am. All I can think about is how tired I am, how much I don't want to see people for a couple days at least. So that's Mercury going into Cancer, right? It's like we're a little bit mentally overstimulated. We're a little bit, we've been out in the sun a long time. And now we need to come home. We need to come home to ourselves. So this week with Mercury going into Cancer, I want to say that we're starting to maybe revisit some old feelings, specifically feelings that have to do with our home environment. So, is there something at home you want to change? Is there something in your home environment that needs to be brought up? Is there something in your family even that could require communication and discussion? That's Mercury in Cancer on a very mundane level. On a very, very personal level, Mercury in Cancer can be getting more in touch with our feelings. It can be knowing how we actually are responding to situations. It can be a great time for gaining clarity and awareness around our emotional wiring. And the other thing about Mercury being in any of the water signs, Scorpio, Cancer, Pisces, is that it lends itself to a lot of poetry, right? It lends itself to a lot of artistry, to a lot of sort of flowing with your words. So if you're a writer, if you journal, if you enjoy any sort of written or verbal expression, Mercury and Cancer, a great time to express. Now, midweek, this Mercury in Cancer is going to have a square to Neptune. Now, Neptune really offers you that boost of creativity. So, definitely, if you are feeling the creative vibes of Mercury in Cancer, take advantage of that square to Neptune, because while squares can be challenges, they can also be really motivating. And Neptune is the collective unconscious. So, great day to plug in to the Neptunian realm and really write something imaginative and transcendent. That's going to be mid this week. So, think Thursday, Friday, we'll be seeing that occur. Okay, now getting into the second week of June. Wow, you guys, this week could feel like a little bit of a calm before a very good storm. Like first week of June, you're feeling like something's happening, something's brewing, something is building up in my life. Because on Tuesday, June 9th, goodness, if it's your birthday this day, you are a lucky one. Tuesday, June 9th, second week of June, we have the very auspicious Jupiter-Venus conjunction in Cancer. Jupiter and Venus, considered the luckiest planets in astrology, coming together where Jupiter has its exaltation, really means that the themes around, Venus, so relationships, beauty, art making, artwork, also women, and children and community, and specifically communities that I feel like with Venus are femme, more femme, we'll just say. Coming together with Jupiter, which is sort of king of the cosmos, grants you your wish, is the fairy godmother to all the planets, right? Jupiter and Venus coming together really blesses that Venetian function. So Venus, right, again, art, community, friendship, any way that we're connecting, Jupiter gives us that boost in. So really great day to go out and connect with your community, to make new friends. I feel like this is going to be a great time for just meeting new people in general. Also, if you've been working on something creative, then this could be a day where that really comes to a peak, completion point, or some significant chapter in your creative journey. This could be. Now, I want to talk about this though more in terms of Cancer now, because Cancer really is, it's more than the home. It's more than feelings. What Cancer is if you think about a donut, this is really silly, but if you think about like a jelly donut, Capricorn is, the kind of boring donut dough on the outside, holding it all together, always holding it all together. And its opposite, Cancer, is all the fun jelly that's inside. Oh my God, that is hilarious. And also, Jupiter kind of has this jelly quality to it. So I'm really liking a jelly donut for Tuesday, June 9th. Maybe that's what you should do on June 9th, is get a jelly donut. No, but so Cancer is all the fun jelly that you fill the donut with. And the thing about that jelly is that it's so complex and it's so full of, so many ingredients, and it's also extremely soft. Okay, this jelly metaphor is getting a little weird, I know. But the thing about Cancer as everything happening on the inside of something. So it's in some circles kind of known as the body to the soul, right? So Capricorn's more that body, Cancer's more that soul that's on the inside. It's more that filling. It's more that interior. Think about a crab, right? It's like that shell is protecting, very sensitive, very precious organs. And so I feel like generally with Jupiter going into Cancer last year, staying there, now meeting up with Venus, it's this time of really recognizing where we've become stronger on the inside, where we have developed more our insides, whether you call that your soul, your inner strength, could just be your nervous system, could just be your emotions, right? Whatever it is, Jupiter in Cancer has really been giving us all that opportunity, I think, to get stronger on the inside, to really make our feeling more full. And I almost want to say that this Venus conjunction is a celebration or a recognition of that in some way. And, just like the moon, which is the ruler of Cancer, Cancer has to go dark. It has to go within before it can come out and really express itself with a full moon, right? And so this day has a bit of that full moon energy, even though we're going to be, going into a new moon several days later. It still has this quality of sort of feeling full of ourselves, feeling full on the inside. So really just congratulate yourself for whatever, kind of Cancerian work you've been doing on yourself. This could be, right, emotional work, spiritual work, or also, work around your home, work around creating, a life that can hold you, that can really nourish you. This is a day to celebrate that, to see how far you've come. So, Tuesday, June 9th. Very excited to see what transpires this day. Okay, now we are going to be having several, well, not several at once, but one by one, we are moving Venus and then Jupiter this month into the sign of Leo. Yes, Leos are about to get blessed. So on Saturday, June 13th, Venus enters Leo. Now, the transition from Cancer to Leo, you can think almost as, okay, say we're a jelly donut. Say we're something that is being crafted, like any sort of like pastry being crafted. And then that pastry which, takes so much process and work. That's like Cancer, Capricorn. It's like it's so much process, so much work, so much about building. And then Leo is the next step, which is where you sell it, which is where you put it out there, which is where people admire it. And they go, oh my God, that is the most beautiful pastry I've ever seen. Or wow, that is such a beautiful person. Or wow, this is such a beautiful creation that somebody's made. Venus going into Leo on Saturday, June 13th is beginning a new chapter where our creativity and our relationships sort of receive this kind of attention. They receive this kind of adoration. We step outside of the more private realm of Cancer and we get into this very public, crowd-facing, exuberant energy of Leo. So Venus going into Leo means, dress how you want to dress. Focus on being seen. Or not focus on being seen, but focus on who you want to be and let that shine. Let that shine to the ends of the audience because Leo is the sun, right? Leo is ruled by the sun. So the sun is larger than life. It shines, it spreads its light unapologetically. Venus going into Leo says, you have all the permission to dress however you want, to create whatever you want, to say whatever you want. And people will notice it. Now, one of the struggles of Venus in Leo or any planet in Leo, right, is that we can be so anticipating the audience's reaction that it can modify how we choose to express ourselves or even, hold us back because we're so afraid of what other people are going to say. Or maybe we are creating a lot, but we are doing it maybe sometimes for the wrong reasons. Like, are we doing it from love of what we do? Or are we doing it from love of the attention? Hi, I'm a very Leo person. I can speak to Leo things very keenly. So we always have to, with the Leo archetype, check in. Am I waiting on my light to be powered by the crowds, or can I power up myself? Can I live in my light? Can I live in my creativity? Can I live in my joy, regardless of external circumstances? So that is what Venus and Leo brings in major to our focus. And after spending some time in Cancer, spending some time once again building up that inner core, it will hopefully show us in Leo how to shine more unapologetically and really also how to be proud of who we are. I think of Cancer and Leo as actually very connected because they're the only zodiac signs ruled by the moon and the sun, the luminaries. And if you think about the moon and sun, they provide light, right? They provide clarity, they provide guidance, they provide, well, they're the most obvious planets in the sky on Earth. They're sort of our mother and father, right? And so while I think that Cancer on a personal level can represent the discovery of self and the creation of oneself, Leo and the sun are really about the shining of that. They're about the sharing of that. So with these planets in Cancer now kind of moving into Leo, it really is this invitation to share who we are with the world in a new way, to share what we've learned, to share what we've been working on. So very excited for this transit. Okay, the third week of June. So on Monday, June 13th, we have a new moon in Gemini. So, new moon in Gemini, sun has been in Gemini, moon's going to be catching up to the sun. We're going to get a little bit of a reset. That's what a new moon is. It's a reset. It's kind of a pause or a refresh period in the Gemini part of your life. So, a new moon in Gemini can actually be a bit challenging, I think, because Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Mercury is that boom, 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 that mind that's always moving. So it can be hard to kind of settle down. I feel like that's one of the trademarks of Gemini and Gemini season is things just feel really busy. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I've just been feeling recently like it's been non-stop. And I struggle, as I think many of us do in our 24/7 culture, to turn off my mind, to sometimes get good sleep because it's just there's so much pumping through the mind at all times these days. And so a new moon in Gemini, that's Monday, June 15th. If, you're kind of struggling to fall asleep, if you're kind of feeling nervous, anxious, agitated, if it just feels like, you can't get the mind to rest, that's okay because as soon as you try to force the mind to rest, it'll force back on you and give you a million more things to think about. So on Monday, June 15th, we're just going to observe. We're just going to kind of let the mind do its thing. We're just going to kind of be witnesses and not get in there and try to fight with it. That is what's coming to me for this day, right? We also want to be careful of taking in information that separates us from others. I think this is another big quality because that missing, component of Sagittarius, the opposite to Gemini. A new moon means everything's focused in the same sign. And Sagittarius really kind of connects us to the world, connects us to the community, connects us to the broader picture. And when there's so much layered on in Gemini, it's like we can be ruminating on our own facts, on our own theories, on our own information. We can start building kind of castles of information, I feel like, and oh well, they have it wrong and I have it right, and there can just be this sort of division that we put on other people, that we put on ourselves. And so I would just be cautious of this in general right now, right? Uranus also went into Gemini recently. So New Moon in Gemini only sort of emphasizes that for me. Just be aware of where you're getting your facts and be aware that your facts might not describe the whole situation. And don't try to wrestle with yourself, trying to prove yourself right about something that you can't maybe ultimately know everything about just right now. Okay. Now, this same week, so we're in the third week of June, the sun will go into Cancer. So Sunday, June 21st. Sun in Cancer, bringing us home, bringing more of that theme of just, our solar energy, that energy of focus, of creation, right? Going into Cancer is really about finding a connection with a flow, finding a connection with our own water. And, as Venus moves into Leo, as Jupiter will eventually move there later this month, there is something about just, I think this yin and yang that we're balancing. It's like this yin of the Cancer, that's the inhale, and then it's the yang of that Leo, which is the exhale. So we're really finding this nice flow creatively. I feel like that sun in Cancer is going to be a nice support to the energy in Leo. Like I know that Cancer's averse to Leo. Technically, that's supposed to be a difficult aspect, but I believe that Cancer and Leo are sort of sister signs just because they're united by that luminary rulership. And so I just think that there is this really nice give and take, this really nice knowing this month of where to shine our light and when to sort of retreat and come back to recharge it so that we don't run out of battery. All right. Now that following week, so the fourth week of June, we're going to be seeing all these transits play out, right? So sun's going into Cancer. We're going to be still kind of coming out of that bliss of the Jupiter-Venus conjunction. I just feel like mid-month, a lot of good vibes, a lot of good energies, lots of just really nice, tender feelings that give us a sense of, yeah, I'm on my right path. I'm doing my right thing. Obviously, everything I'm saying about these transits is, this is a world horoscope. This is not a you specific horoscope. So wherever you have Cancer in your chart, right? If it's a harder place like the 12th house or the 8th house or the 6th house, then you might not experience these very auspicious events the same way somebody who has Cancer in the 1st or the 10th or even the 4th house might. Um, so just keep that in mind. But even so, I am one who believes that even in difficult houses, benefics can bring good. Even if that good doesn't look good right away, it can still work out as good over time. So just wanted to add that little side note in there that we're going to be all experiencing this a bit differently. But Sunday, June 29th. So we sort of zoom forward a bit in time here. The planet Mars is going to be making a shift into Gemini. Okay, so it's not like the Gemini area of our life isn't totally cooking still, that part of us that's intellectual, that's excited to learn, that's making new connections, right? Because Mars does bring a ton of focus to whatever sign it's in, a lot of motivation for it. So I feel like let's just say we are doing a creative project. This is a great time to kind of do additional research, to also team build, and to do anything in the community or in the public square. Like if you're campaigning for something, if you are trying to publicize something, if you are canvassing for something, right? Part of a political campaign, then Mars and Gemini, which is Sunday, June 29th, great day to start that or at least, build your activities around. Because Gemini is the publicist, it's the speaker. Mars gives it a lot of power. I also feel like for social media creators, this will be a really good time. I mean, I know that Mars brings its challenges, it can bring its burnout, it can bring its struggles, it can bring enemies, it can bring all of that. But staying in the positive, Mars can also just be a lot of motivation and drive to get things done. So in Gemini, I mean, that's our social media, that's our communication, that's our emails, that's, if you own a business, great time to kind of double down and maybe check out some of that accounting, the financial side of things, because Gemini can also deal with that too. Okay. Now, this is what I mean about saving up for the big bite of the sweet treat. The end of the month is big and bold and beautiful and really nourishing. And I think we're gonna feel a little bit like bloated. We're almost so full, if you can believe it. Because on June 29th, full moon is happening. Full moon is sort of where we're pregnant with something, right? It's either, we're at 9 months and we're ready to let it go, or we have just reached a really beautiful pregnancy stage and we're like, oh, this is amazing. That something's really coming together here. So when the full moon is in Capricorn, as I said earlier with the jelly donut metaphor, you know, Capricorn is the container, Cancer is the filling. Full moon in Capricorn to me feels like we are pregnant with some sort of structure, with some sort of way that we're holding life. Maybe this is a time where you see the manifestation of a new routine or a new goal you've set for yourself that really holds you, that really contains you, that really allows your wateriness, which is your creativity, your yin instincts, your ability to go with the flow. Whatever that is, Capricorn and Cancer are about finding a structure that holds our flow. And so on the 29th of June, pay attention to where a routine is really working for you, maybe where one isn't. Maybe this is a time where you want to build a new structure, but really it's about paying attention to like what structures are working for my life, what structures are holding me in really beautiful, nourishing ways. That's what we all aspire for on some level. Cancer, Capricorn also sort of have that parent archetype. So this is really a great time for also just generally getting in touch with your needs. What do I need to feel safe, secure, and flow with my soul? What are the structures I need? What are the, budgets I need? What are all the kind of, boring things? Not that Capricorn's boring, but what are the Saturnian boundaries I need to put in place to hold what I'm doing? If we've been doing that work, this day has potential to be really nice. We see the fruits of our labor this day. I really think that's a great way of putting it. Now, if we've been putting off that kind of work, then this might be kind of a wake-up call to where we need to invest more in our self-care, where we need to invest more in structures, where we need to support ourselves, right? A little bit better. Okay. Moving on to the last day of the month, last transit of the month. Big transit, big time transit. Jupiter and Leo. That's why I wore these glasses today. They're not even real glasses. They're just fun Leo glasses. And what's funny is actually Leo's about the eyes. Funny enough. Well, Cancer's one eye, Leo's the other eye. I can't remember which is left, which is right. But eyes, optics, you know, Jupiter, larger than life, big glasses. So Jupiter and Leo. Now let's just start with the element of Leo, fire. So this is creative, this is sparking, this is vision, right? Fire and light allow us to have vision. They allow us to see. Leo's the kind of fire, though, that's really interested in making something work for a long time because it's fixed. So, what I really like about Jupiter going into Leo is that while Jupiter is that Sagittarian energy of always wanting to expand and go farther, and Leo is that fixed energy, it sort of focuses the expansion in one place for the next year in a part of our life that we really want to expand. So the Leo part of your life is about to get a lot of focus, a lot of blessing, a lot of abundance because, right, Leo is that nature to just kind of zero in and lock in and do it and do the thing that is creatively really calling you, the thing that you have a vision for. I think Jupiter and Leo is so much about following a vision, a guidance, an intuition. So for the fire signs, Leo, Aries, Sagittarius, you're either Leo and you're receiving the blessing, or you are Sag and Aries and you're getting the support of that blessing. Fire signs are about to really, really experience just a fabulous go of this. A really supportive time to whatever dreams, goals, right, visions that you're experiencing. Really, the fire signs get ready to have some additional glow to your fire, right? Jupiter has been in Cancer for the past year. Jupiter spends a year in each sign. So we're really moving again out of this time of strengthening our insides, discovering different parts of ourselves, making changes to the home, making changes to our, inner system, doing the deep work on ourselves, learning how to take care of the vessel. And Jupiter and Leo is like time to celebrate, time to share it, time to go out there and live as your own individual self. I would say that a concern, of course, I have for Jupiter and Leo is that this could also be a time of leaders, right? World leaders getting into a lot of trouble with themselves, with each other, because Leo's about leaders and, Jupiter can just really overdo and it can really magnify. And that's something just for ourselves to be aware of, is not letting our egos get too big, right, at this time, not letting our ambitions get ahead of us, not biting off more than we can chew. That's just a Jupiter and a fire sign thing in general. But really, really, I think with the Leo Cancer stuff, there's going to be a similarity to the past year where there is going to be a lot of checking in. Leo is a very introspective sign because it's solar. So it is about, what am I bringing to the table? What am I doing with my life? What is my purpose? What light am I shining out there? And the sun spends a lot of time in the night, right? Like it's there for, the 12 hours, the first 12 hours of the day, and then the second 12 hours, it's in darkness. So we also will need just as much as we're shining and doing in Leo, we need equal time resting, rejuvenating, and really being like, wait a minute, are my flames being fanned by other people, or am I resting, rejuvenating, reflecting enough to energize the flames to be there for other people? Because in Leo, we can very easily get kind of addicted to that applause, to that you know creating, sharing, receiving attention. That can't be a good thing. I mean, addictive is kind of a negative word. I mean, I think sometimes there is a really healthy flow to being like putting something out there, engaging with people. And maybe that's what I want to highlight for Jupiter and Leo is engagement. I think that the sun has the ability to engage us, bring us out of our house. It's a beautiful day where I am. It's like it makes me want to go outside and do things. But if we were to spend all day in the sun, then we're going to feel burnt. We're going to feel a little bit tired. We're going to feel like overwhelmed, So with Jupiter and Leo, focus more on engaging, on connecting, on being a source of light, and recognize as well, that by shining our light, the purpose is to inspire and uplift other people. That's the opposite of Leo, Aquarius, other people. So the audience is really important. They have to be there in Leo. But it's less about taking from the audience, right? It's about giving something to the audience. It's about yielding to them. So with Jupiter going into Leo, I really want you to ask yourself, what do I have to give that's uniquely mine? What is uniquely mine that I have to give that nobody else can do but me? And how can I give that and really commit to that this next year of Jupiter and Leo? Okay, as you guys can tell, I was really excited to talk about that. Jupiter and Leo for Leo risings. Hello, I see you. Um, I think a lot of us are really excited for Jupiter in the 12th is you know, it's a time. It's a lot of expansion on the subconscious level. But it's also a little bit confronting. So I'm excited for Jupiter to go into my first house. I'm a Leo rising. So okay, guys. Well, thank you so much for watching as always. Such a pleasure to do these episodes. Really hope you enjoy. Social media links will be below. Also, I just wanted to let you guys know that I've had a couple guests on the podcast recently who are really wonderful, who you should check out. Tan Astrology and Iris Rose, with both of my friends, these friends of mine. We have done some topics on the houses and also on the Leo Aquarius axis as well. So check out those episodes and give them a follow up if you feel inspired to. Okay, thanks so much, guys. Have a beautiful June. Wishing you all the best.